all my life, I always knew that I was psychic. And like I always knew that I was an empath. Because when I feel something, I feel it hard. You know, I've always been very in tune with everything that's going on. I'm very spiritual. I always got my candles going. You know, you have no idea how many candles I got. My house is like a fucking church. And whenever I go out, I buy more. I don't care. I just bought like 5 more from Stop and Shop. And I have a subscription to Yankee Candle. And even though, being, growing up Catholic, being Catholic, me and my friends, we would go to the psychics. And we're going to be going to hell for that. But we didn't care. That's why I wear my horn. I don't need no one pulling any shit on me. When I was a teenager, I went to the psychic at the mall and I sat down with her. And she was looking at me. And she goes, "Oh my God." She goes, "You're sitting here across from me. And I'm supposed to be reading you. But I feel like you're reading me." And that was it. I could feel it all the time. Like I could always tell when somebody was talking about me. You get that feeling. My fucking ears would be ringing. I could see it on their face. And then the next thing you know, you get a text from that person that's talking about you. And, they try to be nice, but they're bullshitting you. And, when I'm driving, I always know when there's a cop hiding somewhere. Like it never fails. That's when, I slow down. I'm getting the feeling. I was on the expressway and, I started to get that feeling very hard. And then all of a sudden, I see in my rearview mirror, I see the cop and he goes speeding past me. He's like, like he just came out of nowhere, like out of the clear blue. And he drove up and he pulled the car in front of me to the side. And it's like, I knew it. I knew that was coming. Like I see all this stuff in my dreams. Like I always have that dream that I'm driving and then the cop comes. My dreams are so fucking clear, like you wouldn't believe it. I remember every single dream that I ever had, like since I'm 5 years old. Like I don't even need to write them down. My sister thinks I'm full of shit and I'm making it up. And I always know like when I'm gonna need a sweater, even if it's like the middle of August. One time, me and Anthony went to a wedding in August. It was 200 degrees outside, 200% humidity. We're sweating our asses off. My hair was frizzing. So we just left the house. And I says to Anthony, "Stop the car. I need to go back." I just got the weirdest feeling that the place that we're going to is going to be like freezing cold inside. I'll never forget this feeling. I couldn't believe it. And Anthony got mad. He started making fun of me and calling me an asshole and a whore because, it was like 200 degrees outside. I said, "No, we're turning the car around and I'm going back and I'm going to go get a sweater and a jacket to bring to this place." When we got to the catering hall and we walked in, it was like walking into a fucking igloo. Everybody there was getting frostbite and acting like nothing was wrong. It's like, yeah, I see your lips turning blue, bitch. And you're trying to act like, everything's fine because it's 200 degrees outside. And guess what? Anthony asked me if I brought him a sweater. And I said, "No, I didn't bring you a fucking sweater because you didn't listen to me. I can see what's coming. I have that gift. You didn't believe me before because you were sweating your balls off. But now you're freezing your balls off in an igloo because you're an asshole and you don't listen." And I knew this winter that we were going to be getting like a shitload of snow in New York City. And nobody listened to me. I warned everybody. They said, "No, we don't get that no more." Nobody did nothing. And then they were complaining. But I saw that the snow was coming. But that's it. It is what it is. That's it. You got the gift. And then nobody listens. And then they end up an asshole in an igloo.